You know the story they tell you. English might conquer Scottish resistance. Edward Longshanks crushes rebellion after rebellion. But there's one morning in 1306 when everything flips. 9,000 Scots face 20,000 English on a hillside near Stirling. By sunset, the English are running. Their king is fleeing south. Scotland breaks free for 300 years. How does this happen? What turns farmers and fishermen into giant killers? If you value documented medieval history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from the Lanarcost Chronicle and John Barber's Bruce. Now back to the story. The man who makes it happen isn't even supposed to be king. Robert Bruce kills John Comyn in Greyfriars Church, Dumfries, February 10th, 1306. Stabs his rival right at the altar. Within 6 weeks, he's crowned at Scone. Edward Plantagenet calls him an outlaw, puts a price on his head worth 2,000 pounds of silver. That's enough to buy a castle. Bruce runs to the hills, hides in caves on Rathlin Island, watches spiders rebuild their webs. Legend says he learns patience. Reality says he learns something else. You don't beat heavy cavalry head on. You make the groundwork for you. But first, he nearly dies. English cavalry hunt him across Galloway. February 1307, 300 knights corner him at Glen Truel. Bruce has maybe 60 men. Ambush tactics save him. They roll boulders down the hillside, crush English war horses. The survivors limp home with stories of Scottish devils. By autumn, Bruce controls half of Scotland, not through pitched battles, through night raids, castle sieges, guerrilla warfare. He takes Inverlochy Castle by having his men climb the walls in darkness, captures the garrison without losing a single Scot, then burns the castle to the ground. No strongholds for English garrisons to hold. The pattern repeats. Forfar Castle, Brecon Castle, Dundee. Bruce's men strike fast and vanish. They know every deer path, every hidden glen. English heavy cavalry can't follow. Too slow, too loud, too dependent on supply lines that Scottish raiders cut like silk. John of Lorne hunts Bruce with bloodhounds, tracks him through Argyll forests. Bruce kills the dogs one by one with his longbow, picks off Lorne's men from ambush. 3 arrows in the morning mist, 3 English dead. The hunt becomes a rout. Lorne flees to his castle and bars the gates. By 1308, Bruce holds every major castle north of the Forth except Stirling. That's when Edward II makes his mistake. Swears to relieve Stirling Castle before Midsummer's Day. Stakes his crown on it. Philip Mowbray, the English commander, agrees to surrender if no relief comes by June 24th. The trap is set. Edward assembles the largest army in English history. 8 earls, 87 barons, 500 knights with full armor, 2,500 heavy cavalry, 16,000 infantry, Welsh longbowmen who broke the French at Falkirk, Irish kerns with throwing spears, Gascon crossbowmen who serve for silver. The logistics alone stagger imagination. 20,000 men eat 40 tons of grain daily. Their horses need another 60 tons of hay and oats. The baggage train stretches from horizon to horizon. Ox carts loaded with mail hauberks, spear lances, crossbow bolts by the thousand, silver to pay mercenaries, gold to buy local support. They cross the border at Berwick, May 27th, march north through Edinburgh, reach Falkirk by June 20th, 4 days to cover 22 miles to Stirling. Victory seems certain. English chroniclers already composed songs about Scottish submission. Bruce watches from the Torwood, counts banners, estimates numbers. His own forces barely reach 9,000. No heavy cavalry, few crossbows, mostly infantry with 12-foot spears and round shields, but they've trained together for 2 years. Drilled in schiltron tactics until they move like one creature with 18,000 legs. The schiltron isn't new. Wallace used it at Falkirk, but Wallace's men broke when English cavalry hit their flanks. Bruce has a better idea. You don't just form schiltrons. You make the ground force cavalry to charge exactly where you want them. Channel them into killing grounds. Stirling Castle sits on a volcanic plug. The river Forth winds around it in great loops. Only 2 approaches exist. The high road that runs straight to the castle gate. The low road through boggy Carsland beside the river. Bruce positions his army to control both routes. He puts Thomas Randolph, Earl of Moray, on the high road with 500 men. If English cavalry tries to bypass the main army and reach Stirling directly, Randolph will stop them. James Douglas holds the left flank with 800, covers the road to Falkirk. Edward Bruce takes the right with 3,000. Robert himself commands the center, 4,000 men and 2 massive schiltrons, but the real weapon is invisible. For 3 days, Scottish engineers dig pits across the Carsland, each hole 2 feet wide, 3 feet deep. Sharp stakes point upward, branches and turf cover the openings. From a distance, the ground looks solid. A charging warhorse finds out differently. June 23rd. English vanguard reaches the Bannockburn. Knights water their horses in the stream, scout the Scottish positions. Henry de Bohun sees Bruce riding between the lines, alone, unguarded. The Scottish king wears simple mail, carries a battle axe, rides a small Highland pony instead of a destrier. De Bohun sees immortal glory, spurs his warhorse to full gallop. Lance couched, aims for Bruce's heart. The charge thunders across the field. Every man in both armies watches. Bruce waits, steady as stone. At the last heartbeat, he wheels his pony sideways. De Bohun's lance slides past harmlessly. Bruce's axe whistles down, splits the Englishman's skull through his great helmet. De Bohun tumbles dead from his saddle. His destrier gallops away riderless. The Scottish army roars, first blood. Their king just killed an English champion in single combat. English morale takes its first wound, but Robert Clifford has other plans. Takes 800 heavy cavalry up the high road towards Stirling. Tries to bypass the main Scottish army. Randolph sees them coming. Forms his 500 spears into a tight schiltron, moves to block the road. Clifford expects easy victory. 500 foot soldiers against 800 armored knights. No contest. He orders the charge. English lances come down like a steel forest. Spurs rake destrier flanks. The earth shakes under iron hooves. The schiltron holds. Spear points gut horses, drag down riders. English knights who survive the crash find themselves surrounded by Scottish steel. No room to wheel, no space to retreat. They die in their saddles or surrender. Clifford himself falls pierced by 3 spear points. His banner goes down. The survivors flee back down the road. Randolph's men cheer themselves hoarse. 800 English cavalry, destroyed by 500 Scottish infantry. The impossible becomes routine. That night, English commanders hold council. Some urge retreat. The Scots have proven they can fight. Why risk total disaster? But Edward II won't hear it. His father conquered Wales, subdued Scotland. He won't be the first Plantagenet to run from Celtic spears. The English army camps in the Carsland between the Bannockburn and the River Forth. Terrible ground for cavalry, marshy soil that sucks at horse hooves. But they have no choice. The high road is blocked. The low road leads through a funnel where Scottish spears wait. Bruce calls his own council. Some captains urge retreat. They've bloodied the English nose. Won honor. Time to fade back into the hills. But Bruce sees something else. English morale cracking. Their cavalry trapped on bad ground. This isn't about honor anymore. This is about ending English rule forever. Dawn, June 24th, Midsummer's Day. If Edward doesn't relieve Stirling Castle by sunset, Mowbray must surrender. The English king has 8 hours to win or lose his crown. Bruce advances at first light. 4 schiltrons moving in perfect formation. Spear points glitter like deadly wheat. Douglas on the left, Edward Bruce on the right. The king himself leads the center. Drums beat the advance. Pipes wail the gathering of the clans. English knights see death walking toward them. Try to form battle lines on the marshy ground. Horses slip and founder. Men curse as their destriers sink fetlock deep in bog. The perfect cavalry charge becomes a stumbling mess. Gloucester leads the first attack. 300 knights in full armor. He spurs his destrier toward Bruce's schiltron. Lance aimed at the Scottish king. His horse hits the spear wall and screams. Iron punches through its chest. The Earl goes down under his own mount, dies crushed by 1,200 weight of falling warhorse. Hereford tries next. Leads 200 lances against Douglas's schiltron. Scottish spears gut his horse. He rolls clear as the beast dies. Staggers away on foot, his lance broken, his pride shattered. The flower of English chivalry can't break a hedge of Scottish steel. Edward's archers try to intervene. Loose thousands of cloth-yard shafts, but they're shooting over their own cavalry's heads. Half the arrows hit English backs. The rest bounce off Scottish shields or stick harmlessly in spear hafts. Friendly fire kills more English than Scottish. Hour by hour, the schiltrons grind forward. Step by bloody step, English resistance crumbles. Knights who've never known defeat learn what Scottish spear points taste like. Nobles who trace their bloodlines to William the Conqueror die face down in Scottish mud. The Earl of Pembroke tries to rally the cavalry. Forms a wedge of 50 knights. Charges straight at Bruce's banner. Scottish spears open to let them through. And close like a trap. Pembroke's men find themselves surrounded. Spear points probe between armor plates. Knights fall one by one. Pembroke himself takes a spear thrust through the thigh. His men drag him clear, bleeding and beaten. By noon, English dead carpet the field. The Bannockburn runs red. Destriers lie tangled with their riders. Broken lances stick up like winter wheat. The pride of English knighthood has become Scottish fertilizer. Edward's bodyguard sees disaster coming, grabs the king's bridle, forces him to retreat. The second Edward, King of England, Lord of Ireland, Duke of Aquitaine, flees the field like a common soldier. spurs his horse towards Stirling Castle, but Mowbray bars the gates, won't let him enter. The terms of surrender are clear. No relief means the castle falls. Edward wheels south instead, rides hard for Dunbar, 90 miles through hostile country. His army disintegrates behind him. Knights throw away their helms to run faster. Foot soldiers abandon their weapons. The greatest host England ever assembled becomes a rabble of fleeing cowards. If you value documented medieval history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also, comment from which city you're hearing this from. Now back to the story. Scottish camp followers smell victory. Kitchen boys grab carving knives. Grooms snatch horsewhips. Washerwomen arm themselves with laundry bats. They pour down from Gillies Hill like an avalanche. From distance, they look like another Scottish army. English morale snaps completely. The rout becomes a massacre. Scottish cavalry, what little Bruce has, pursues the fleeing English, cuts down stragglers. The Forth claims hundreds who try to swim across, drowning in full armor. The marshy ground swallows others, quicksand that sucks down man and horse together. Bruce captures the English baggage train intact, 200,000 pounds of silver, enough gold to fund his kingdom for years, the royal seal, the royal wardrobe, Edward's own armor. Abandoned in his flight, 34 banners of English earls and barons, trophies of total victory. English prisoners fill Scottish dungeons. The Earl of Hereford, the Earl of Angus, Sir Ingram de Umfreville, Sir Marmaduke de Twenge. Their ransoms beggar English estates. But Bruce uses them for something more valuable, exchanges them for Scottish nobles held in English prisons, including his own wife Elizabeth, his daughter Marjorie, his sisters Mary and Christina. 8 years of captivity ends. The human cost staggers both sides. Scottish losses may be 500 dead, light casualties for such a victory. English losses? The chronicles don't count them. Too many, too shameful. Gloucester dead, Clifford dead, dozens of lesser nobles feeding Scottish ravens, common soldiers by the thousand. The Bannockburn choked with English corpses. But the real victory is psychological. Edward Longshanks, Hammer of the Scots, built English military reputation on Celtic defeats. His son destroys it in one morning. English armies that conquered Wales and terrorized France run from Scottish farmers with kitchen knives. News of Bannockburn spreads like wildfire. Welsh princes sharpen their swords. Irish chieftains plan rebellion. French nobles smile behind their hands. English invincibility dies on a Scottish hillside beside a small stream. Parliament summons Edward back to London, demands answers. How do you lose 20,000 men to 9,000 Scots? The king has no good reply, blames the ground. The weather? Scottish treachery. Anything but his own incompetence. Scotland celebrates like never before. Bonfires burn on every hilltop. Church bells ring from Orkney to Galloway. Bruce is no longer just King of Scots. He's the man who broke English pride. Songs about Bannockburn echo through every glen. The victory transforms medieval Europe, proves that disciplined infantry can destroy heavy cavalry on chosen ground. Swiss pikemen at Margarten learn the lesson. Flemish militias at Courtray copy Scottish tactics. The age of knightly supremacy begins its long decline. Scotland stays free for 3 centuries after Bannockburn. English armies return again and again. Edward III invades with 40,000 men, achieves nothing. Henry IV tries twice, fails both times. Henry V, conqueror of Agincourt, can't crack Scottish resistance. The lesson sticks. You can't rule people who refuse to be ruled. Bruce uses his victory wisely, doesn't just celebrate, consolidates, takes every English stronghold north of the border, besieges Berwick for 2 years, captures it in 1318. Scotland's greatest port returns to Scottish hands. He invades Ireland, opens a second front, puts his brother Edward on the Irish throne, forces England to fight on 2 fronts, stretches English resources beyond breaking point. What begins at Bannockburn becomes a coordinated Celtic uprising. The Declaration of Arbroath follows in 1320. Scotland's nobles write to the Pope, declare their independence in words that echo through history. We fight not for glory or riches, but for freedom alone, which no honest man gives up but with life itself. Medieval democracy finds its voice. Bruce dies in 1329. Heart disease, the chronicles say. But his legend lives forever. The Spider King who learned patience. The guerrilla leader who became conventional warrior. The outlaw who broke English military power with 9,000 Scottish spears. His body lies in Dunfermline Abbey, but his heart travels further. Sir James Douglas carries it to the Holy Land, dies fighting Moors in Spain. The heart returns to Scotland, buried at Melrose Abbey. Even in death, Bruce's heart comes home. Edward II never recovers from Bannockburn, loses the respect of his nobles. His queen, his kingdom, dies horribly in Berkeley Castle. red-hot poker through his bowels. Or so the stories say. The king who fled from Scottish farmers meets an ignoble end. The battlefield today looks peaceful, rolling farmland where barley grows. The Bannockburn still flows toward the Forth, but underneath the soil lie secrets, metal fragments, bone splinters. Reminders of the day Scotland broke its chains. In 1996, archaeologists found something remarkable, a concentrated scatter of medieval weapons, all dated to early 14th century, all clustered in a small area beside the burn. Arrowheads by the dozen, spear points, sword fragments, battle axe heads, the debris of desperate fighting. Chemical analysis revealed something else. Lead traces consistent with medieval arrows, iron composition matching Scottish weaponsmiths, bone fragments showing cut marks from edged weapons. The ground itself tells the story. 20,000 English fled, but not all made it home. Some ran too slowly, some fell too hard to rise. The dead sleep quietly now beneath Scottish barley.